Next, I'd like to introduce Sam Millsap, the former district attorney of Bexar County, who's come to oppose the death penalty based on his extraordinary experience as a prosecutor.
Today is Halloween. In Gaelic culture, October 31 was believed by pagans to be the day each year when the boundary between the living and the dead is dissolved. That the dead become dangerous on this day to the living by causing sickness and damaged crops. The festivals that they had will frequently involve bonfires into which the bones of slaughtered animals were thrown. I can think of no day that is more appropriate to recognize that the boundary between life and death is so clear and yet so frail in the state that has the most efficient death machine in the free world, the state that is responsible for almost 40% of the executions in the United States in the last 30 years. I can likewise think of no day that is more appropriate to celebrate the fact that the many death row exonerees who are with us today and who were so close to death for so long are in fact alive. I am the former Bexar County District Attorney. I compiled a perfect record in capital murder prosecutions when I was in office in the mid-1980s. Each and every man who was prosecuted for capital murder on my watch was convicted and has been executed. For this reason, it's a distinct honor and privilege for me to share the podium with men who know, as the rest of us never will, that the pagans were wrong about this day and every other day, that the boundary between life and death is very clear, but that it is in fact dissolved with alarming frequency by a criminal justice system that we know today is simply not competent to decide who may live and who must die. I'm very pleased to join these men in calling for a moratorium on executions in Texas and the creation of an Innocence Commission. Because I am a former elected prosecutor and made on several occasions the decision to seek the death penalty, I feel a little like the two-headed donkey in the freak show when I talk about the death penalty. I have been during most of my adult life a strong supporter of the death penalty. I have become in recent years an opponent of the death penalty, but I don't oppose the death penalty on moral grounds. Like most Americans, I believe that some crimes are so heinous that the only appropriate punishment is death. I oppose the death penalty for entirely practical reasons, because based on my personal experience, I am no longer convinced that our criminal justice system can keep the promise we made to ourselves and each other more than 200 years ago, that our courts will in fact guarantee the protection of the innocent. The criminal justice system in America is driven by decisions that are made by honest, hardworking police investigators, prosecutors, judges, defense lawyers, and juries who do their best to get it right in all cases, but who, even on their best days, make mistakes. I am, to my knowledge, the only former elected district attorney in America who has accepted personal responsibility for the execution of someone who may have been innocent. And although I wish I could tell you that I am the only former elected district attorney in America who is haunted by the possibility that his error in judgment may have led to the execution of an innocent man, I'm confident that there are others. I have come to my position on the death penalty slowly and deliberately. In the spring of 2000, I became concerned about the growing number of cases in which it was clear, as a result of DNA testing, that American courts were convicting innocent people. About the same time, a Columbia University study of 5,000 capital murder cases from 1973 to 1995 concluded that the death penalty machine in America was collapsing, quote, under the weight of its own mistakes. In June of 2000, I released a statement they called for a moratorium on executions until we could be confident that our criminal justice system guarantees the protection of the innocent in capital murder cases. At that time, I was confident that everyone who had been executed as a result of my prosecutions had in fact been guilty. In December of 2005, the Houston Chronicle concluded that one of my prosecutions, the Ruben Cantu case, had produced the execution of a man who was probably innocent. When I reviewed the case, I concluded that whether Cantu was innocent or not, my decision to seek the death penalty in his case was a mistake. That I should not have prosecuted him for capital murder based solely on the testimony of a single eyewitness. After almost 20 years of silence, my star witness recanted his trial testimony because he had nothing to gain but trouble for the admission, or for his admission, that he had lied because he felt pressure from the police department. Many people today believe Ruben Cantu was innocent. And although I remain unconvinced that Cantu is innocent, I recognize today that my decision to seek the death penalty without any physical evidence supporting his guilt, a decision that would have been made by any other Texas prosecutor at the time, was simply wrong. I believe fervently that prosecutors whose best efforts have produced unfortunate results in capital murder cases have a personal and moral duty to accept responsibility for their mistakes. And so I'm no longer just philosophical in my opposition to the death penalty. As we say in Texas, I'm in this fight to abolish the death penalty in America until the last dog dies. Decisions by prosecutors drive the criminal justice system. The very best prosecutors, acting entirely in good faith, make all sorts of judgments in capital murder cases, and because we are human, we make mistakes. Add to that undeniable fact the reality that judges, jurors, defense attorneys, and witnesses also make mistakes, and what is left is a system that by definition cannot be relied upon to protect the innocent in capital murder cases. Some suggest that it's good enough if we get it right most of the time, that good intentions, strong procedural safeguards, and a fair trial provide sufficient protection. For anyone who believes, as I do, that we must get it right all the time in capital murder cases, that the system must guarantee the protection of the innocent, accepting a system that tries hard and that gets it right most of the time is simply not good enough when the sanction is so final. Thank you.